my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Okay. Happy to have you, Jonathan. All right, moving on to roll call. Commissioner Gucciardo is absent. Commissioner Sankamp?
Here.
Commissioner Gunther?
Here.
Commissioner Sakong is absent. Commissioner Blazak is absent. Commissioner Gordon?
Present.
Commissioner Edgecombe?
Present.
Commissioner Kay?
Here.
Commissioner Callback?
Here.
And Chairman Cronin is absent, so Acting Chair Garriga?
Here.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are 7 members of the commission present. 5 affirmative votes are needed for a certificate of appropriateness. Next item on the agenda are the approval of minutes from the September 15th HPC meeting. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns? If not, staff recommends a motion to approve.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Sankamp?
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther?
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon?
Aye.
Commissioner Edgecombe?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Callback?
Aye.
Commissioner Gucciardo is absent. Commissioner Sakong is absent. Commissioner Blazak is absent. Chairman Cronin is absent. Acting Chair Garriga?
Aye.
There are 7 votes in favor, none against. The motion to approve the minutes carries. For correspondence, all correspondence is linked on tonight's agenda. All application materials are linked on tonight's agenda as well. For announcements, we do have a number of cases that have carried this evening. If anyone is present for these, they will be heard either at the November 17th meeting or at a date uncertain. If there are any questions about that, you can reach out to staff. So case 8B, 147 Monticello Avenue, has carried to a date uncertain. Case 9E has carried to November 17th. Case 11, I'm sorry, the 9E is 515 Jersey Avenue. Case 11A, 32 Sherman Place, has carried to November 17th, and case 11B has carried to November 17th. So those cases will not be heard this evening. Staff has no other announcements at this time. All right, if there are any members of the public present who would like to speak regarding matters of historic preservation that are not on tonight's agenda, you may approach the public comment mic. Staff sees no members of the public looking to speak for open public comment, so we recommend a motion to open and close.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So for old business, Corey, if you'd like to call the first case.
The first case would be case A, 300 Central Avenue, B25-0166.
We are going to move around.
C. Okay,
Yeah.
so we are going to do C. All right. So actually, the first case would be case H25-0079. That would be 70 Fairview Avenue, Maxon Builders, LLC, applicant on behalf of Farouk Salim Raheel, owner.
Okay. For the record, this application is for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of an additional dwelling unit in the rear of the yard that is visible from the public right-of-way at an altered contributing 2-story, 3-bay, wood-frame dwelling built circa 1915 in the West Bergen, East Lincoln Park Historic District. And this application was carried from the September 15th regular HPC meeting.
Okay, there goes about half my intro. Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Aileen Brennan, and I am with the law firm of Prime, Tuvel, and Maselli on behalf of the applicant, Farouk Salim, who is the owner of the property and the resident of the property located at 70 Fairview Ave, block 16502, lot 31, and as was mentioned, in the West Bergen, East Lincoln Park Historic District. We are here tonight seeking a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of an accessory dwelling unit in the rear yard of the home. And what I want to just address right now and get out of the way is that there is already an ADU in the yard that was constructed pursuant to zoning permit and construction, zoning approval and construction permits that were issued earlier this year. There was some confusion as to the approval process, and the zoning permit was issued, the building permits were issued, and construction commenced. There was no stop work order issued, but we were told to go to the HPC, which obviously an application was submitted. Meanwhile, the construction continued, resulting in a nearly complete ADU in the back of the home. And that ADU that's there, the way that looks right now is not what we're seeking to keep on the site. We have plans to change that ADU to make it more in conformance with the historic district. And so I just wanted to make that clear that what you'll see on the pictures in the staff report is not, we're not seeking to legalize, for lack of a better term, that the way that structure looks right now. And our architect, Jeffrey Wright. Lewis, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
An actor. I was talking about a movie earlier. Jeffrey Lewis is going to discuss the plans for the ADU, the materials, and what we have, what we think that ADU, what we plan for that ADU to look like in place of the structure or the facade that's there in place right now. So, go ahead.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you, and you're starting from me.
It's Jeffrey Lewis, Jeffrey Lewis.
And staff will note that Mr. Lewis has previously been qualified in front of this board as an expert in the field of architecture. Please proceed.
Thank you, and I'll note that my license is active and in good standing in New Jersey.
Great.
Okay, so I am just zooming in a little on the site plan so we get a better look at it. Should have done that before, I apologize. So what we have here is an existing two-family building, which is on an oversized lot in the R1 zone. And we're proposing a new ADU in the back, as well as some additional work around that ADU in the rear yard. I do want to note that all the work that we're proposing is in compliance with the Jersey City zoning ordinance, so I'm sorry. That we are proposing is in compliance with the Jersey City zoning ordinance, so we don't need any variances for this project. With that, I want to just jump right in, start with the existing site plan on the right here, or what was existing previously. So on the right side of the house, we have a driveway and a walkway, which leads to our backyard. That yard was previously all asphalt and gravel and was used for parking for vehicles. We're going to be digging all that up, and we're proposing that new two-story accessory dwelling unit, as you can see here on the left, as well as a new concrete walkway, which leads from that driveway back to the ADU and in front of the ADU. The accessory dwelling unit itself is surrounded on both sides and the rear with a lawn area, a new lawn area. There's also another new lawn area located in between the ADU and the existing deck of the primary residence in the front. And I do want to also note that because of these changes, this is going to bring us into compliance with lot coverage, where previously 95% of the lot was impervious, and we've been able to reduce that down to 80%, which is well below compliance in this zone. The last thing I want to talk about the site plan here is we are proposing 2 new trees on the right here. I do want to make a small revision to this, though, because there is an existing fairly large tree at the back corner of our property. It's not on our property, it's on our neighbor's property, but it's very close to our property. So I do just want to take this tree that's in the back and bring it forward about 10 feet or so, just to get it a little bit away from that larger tree so that it has the room it needs to grow. So that's the one minor change that I would like to propose for these plans. With that, I'm going to move on to the floor plans themselves. And I'm just going to briefly go through these because there's not much to show. So we are proposing a new 2-story accessory dwelling unit. The ground floor has a living dining kitchen area, a half bath, as well as a washer dryer. The second floor we have, shown here, we have 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. And then the roof is a flat roof, and we're proposing 470 square feet of green roof on there. Underneath, we have our elevations of the accessory dwelling unit. But first, I do want to just go briefly to the staff report. So this is the photograph of what was built. We are keeping the same building footprint, but we are making changes. As you can see, it was proposed as a more modern building with modern finishes that obviously aren't appropriate for a historic district. So we have worked with historic to change those. And so I do want to show you here, starting at the front elevation, the changes that we made. The first on the front here is we did add 2 new windows. One of them is here in the living room on the ground floor, and then the second is to the right here in the bathroom. And the idea here was to eliminate some of these larger blank spaces that we had on this wall. And then the second change that we made, the more important change, were the building materials, obviously. Where now the main finish will be a Navajo beige colored smooth hardy plank siding with 4-inch white trim at the corners. We also added a 1-foot tall khaki brown hardy panel trim piece at the top of the building, which will act something like a simplified cornice for the building. So our windows are all 6-panel windows. The frames of the windows and the window trim is going to be gray in color, and we did a pretty simple window profile that we're showing here on the right. We also are proposing a farmhouse-style sconce, which is going to be mounted above the door, which you can see here. The rear elevation is on the right here. There's no windows or anything. We're just doing a gray smooth stucco finish at the base, and then the same hardy plank siding that we're using at the front of the building on the floor above, on the second floor of the building. I do also have the side elevations. I want to just go to them. They're on page 6, so I can show those to you. So here they are on the top left here. You can see they basically have the same finish as the rear, with the smooth stucco finish at the base and hardy plank siding above. The main difference is on the right side, we do have a 5'9" setback, and we have some windows on that side for bedrooms, the living room, and in the kitchen. So that's my review of the drawings of what we're proposing. I do think that the ADU isn't distracting from the historic nature of this property, because we're only replacing parking here with a building that we think now fits better into the neighborhood in terms of its size, its mass, the new finishes that we're proposing, as well as the look and feel of the building as proposed today, not what's there now. Thank you for your time. Any questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Hello, thank you. The most obvious question that comes to mind is, are there any sightline drawings? Because it says that it's visible from the public right of way.
We did do some sightline drawings. This is the plan showing the sightlines. You could see it's not visible from the left side, but down the driveway is where it's visible from. And I think you could see, oh, it's here. You can see it would be a little bit in the corner right here. We did also do the elevation sightlines. As you can see, it's so far back. It's not something you're going to see over the building. It's really just, you'll see it from the side. You can see that here as well.
This might be a question for staff, but how does the city's ordinance define an accessory dwelling unit? Or is there like any kind of minimum requirements for square footage or number of bedrooms, et cetera?
I believe the only requirement is that it can only be 18 feet, so 18 feet tall, and then it must meet all egress on the sides. So they can have as many bedrooms, I believe. I don't believe there's a limit on bedrooms, but again, the height has to be 18 feet, so generally we only see 1 or 2 story buildings, and that's generally what constrains the applicant.
Yeah, I could add to that if you want. Really, the only constraints they have, as was mentioned, is the 18-foot height. There are some setback requirements, 2 foot from the side and the rear, and 5 feet in between the buildings. So we are providing more than that in between the buildings and on the one side where we have the 5'9".
Yeah, I'm asking because a 2-story back building in this district is a little atypical. It's not very common. You will sometimes see 1-story garage buildings. I can think of at least 1 2-story garage that might have dwelling above it that is maybe historic on Bentley Avenue. I just don't know that two-story back buildings are very common in this district. Maybe that's suitable elsewhere in Jersey City, but I'm not sure that that is appropriate in this historic district.
Well, I just, it was fully compliant with all of the zoning regulations as pertains to the district and to the accessory dwelling unit. So that was, we did it all in accordance with the ordinances and the bulk regulations that are in place for the district.
I mean, do you have any precedents for two-story back buildings within this historic district with you?
I didn't look, I have to be honest. Again, because it was an allowed use, we didn't look to see if there were others.
Do you have any physical material samples?
We didn't bring the physical samples. We do have just the sheet in the corner. It's a pretty standard hardy plank siding and hardy panel. I could zoom in on it.
Yeah, and one of the reasons we like to see those physical samples is for color swatches, because it's not always true to life when you see it on these screens.
We can, of course, give real samples to the historic staff and have them approve them.
Please.
Are there any other questions from commissioners? Do you guys want to go back, look at any parts of the plans?
Can you go back to the front elevation of the ADU? Proposed? Okay. So the fascia board, I call it, or cornice line board,
At the top of the building.
is there a reason why you didn't continue that around? Would that be a hardship?
I think it was probably just something that wasn't required, but that is something we'd be happy to do if you prefer it.
I think especially since you've got 5 feet on this side and you're going to get a good view of the corner, I think you should probably continue it.
Okay. Yeah, I think the thought was the front was what you would really see, but you could see
Yeah.
around those corners. You're
You're
right.
gonna get
and
those obliques.
We can do all 4 sides, I think.
Also, the door clearly is a different period.
I was expecting that.
And if you're going to do all that work to make this
Yes.
more of a period building, you're going to keep a door that
We
is,
are happy to work with staff to select a more appropriate door.
I think that would be
Yeah,
something that would help
I agree with you on that one, to be honest.
turn my vote there. And the windows themselves, can you just read out the spec? It's an Anderson double hung. Is it what kind of a window is it?
Oh.
I mean, they're 8/8, but what is the?
You know what the window brand is? They are Anderson?
Are they clad or what are they?
Oh, you know what? There are specs on here. I'm sorry. I just have to find the page. Oh, right here. Yes, these are 400 series Anderson windows.
I would lean toward the smooth hardy, if you can.
That is what we specified.
Okay.
Any further questions for the applicant? Okay, we can move on to public comment if that concludes your testimony.
Yes.
Okay. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the commission regarding this application, please approach the public comment mic. Okay, staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we can move into staff comments. Yeah, so this is a bit of a unique one in that they did receive approval from the zoning division as well as from the building department. So then they came in with a partially complete building to HBC staff. And so I worked with the applicant over the last few months in order to try to get something that was more appropriate. I will say, and it's visible in my staff report, there is a photo where you can see the visibility of the building currently from across the street. I took that photo while on site. And so that's really the extent of the visibility is down that driveway. Staff's belief is that based on the changes that have been made, the application mostly conforms to the historic design standards for new construction within the district, especially speaking that a majority of the property is not going to be visible from any public right of way. It's really just that slim portion of the right facade, the right side of the facade, when looking at the building. And the changes to the window fenestration has created a nice symmetry. I do agree that revising the door would be appropriate as well. And changing it to the hardy plank, the smooth lap siding will be a big change, create an appropriate relationship with the rest of the block in the historic district. The 2 stories is permitted by the zoning, so staff doesn't see an issue with that. So in staff's opinion, the project as proposed will not cause an adverse effect on the character and or integrity of the surrounding historic resource and the West Bergen East Lincoln Park Historic District. As such, HPC staff recommends approval of the certificate of appropriateness with the following conditions. The first one is that the applicant shall revise the existing materials on the exterior of the extant accessory dwelling unit to match those depicted on the construction documents. Just to make it very clear to everybody what's going on here. And then the ones that I picked up from tonight is that the applicant shall move the rear tree up 10 feet prior to the submission of construction documents. The applicant shall revise the ADU to wrap the fascia board around to all 4 sides. And then last but not least, the applicant shall work with HPC staff to revise the front entranceway door. And then the rest of the ones that are in the staff report are just our standard conditions. Again, staff's recommendation is a motion to approve the COA with conditions as read into the record and in the staff report.
Can we also ensure that the applicant is going to submit the physical samples?
Yes, that is actually included in one of our existing conditions.
Okay, great. And I wanted to just clarify the windows on the top left and right of the primary, the front elevation. Are those a different number of lights in there than the other windows?
The smaller windows?
Yes.
I do believe they're 6/6, and I believe the other ones are 8/8.
Yes, they're 6/6 and they're 8/8 in the main windows.
Okay. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for staff?
I'll make a motion with conditions.
I'll second it.
Okay. All right, we'll move to, does the
Just to
applicant?
clarify for the record, what motion are you making?
To approve, sorry.
Conditions?
I'll make a motion to approve the certificate of appropriateness with the conditions set forth by staff.
Okay, great. And we have a second on that?
Yes, I'm seconding.
All right, does the applicant accept all the conditions in the staff report and read into the record this evening?
Yes, we do.
Great. All right, we'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Gordon?
Aye.
Commissioner Edgecombe?
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Callback?
Aye.
Commissioner Sandcamp?
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther?
Nay.
Nay. Okay. Do you have an ordinance citation?
I think the 2-story height is inappropriate for the site and setting in this historic district.
Okay, site and setting, got it. Thank you. And then Commissioner Gucciardo is absent, Commissioner Sakong is absent, Commissioner Blazak is absent, and Chairman Cronin is absent. So Acting Chair Griga?
Aye.
Okay, there are 6 votes in favor, 1 vote against, and no abstentions. The certificate of appropriateness is approved with conditions.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, So we will move on to our next case. Before we do that, I do just have to ask, is there any applicants present for 300 Central Ave? I didn't think so. Okay. So that is case 8A in old business. Because the applicant is not present, staff's going to request that the chair make a motion, the commission make a motion to carry that to the next regularly scheduled HPC meeting of November 17th.
I'll make the motion to carry
To November
to
17th?
November 17th.
Okay.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So that brings us out of old business and into new business. We are once again changing around the order of the agenda this evening. We are going to temporarily skip over 9A and we are going to call case 9B. Corey, if you'd like to.
Okay. Calling case 9B, which is H-24-0012, applicant Vivid Arc LLC, applicant on behalf of Yusuf Shad, owner, address is 285 Grove Street, and this is in the Van Voorst Park Historic District, Grove and Mercer redevelopment plan for the certificate of appropriateness for a proposed interior renovation and two-story rear addition on an existing rear addition that is visible from the public right-of-way and roof deck at an altered contributing mixed-use building built circa 1870 in the Van Voorst Park Historic District.
Great, thank you. Stephen Joseph for the applicant, Kasano Quickly Trummy. I was just retained today, so I'm not on the agenda. It's my appearance. We're going to get set up here. This is it's an existing building with 2 dwelling units and 1 commercial space. There's an addition on the rear. It's not a corner property, but it's 1 lot in from the corner. And when we take a look at the photos, as I'm sure you've already seen, there will be visibility there. And I think the property that's on the corner, which has some ventilation and all that, does distract from the visibility of our building. But I'll turn it over to the architect to walk through the plans, and then we could talk through any questions the commission may have.
Would you raise your right hand to be sworn? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And state and spell your full name for the record.
Arlenis Dominguez, Arlenis, Dominguez, Dominguez.
And Ms. Dominguez, would you mind just providing the staff with the benefit of your qualifications tonight?
Sure. I have a bachelor degree of architecture from NJIT. I've been practicing for 12 years, licensed for 5 years. My license is in good standing, and I haven't been before HPC, but I have been before zoning board in Jersey City, and as well as several other in New Jersey.
Staff recommends that the chair accept the qualifications as an expert in the field of architecture.
I accept.
Please
Okay.
feel free to proceed.
Sure. So we are looking at 285 Grove Street. We have an existing 3-story building there. The ground floor is a commercial retail space, and the top 2 floors are residential. So it's currently a 2-family. We are proposing to maintain the 2-family and maintain the ground floor as commercial, but we are proposing a rear addition. Each floor, we are asking to add about 750 square feet, 751 to be exact. And up here, this is the front view on Grove Street, and this is the rear view. Excuse the person. So this rear view is on top of the first story. The current first story does cover the full extent of that lot. And the second story only goes a certain length, which we are asking to add on top of, but not all the way to the rear. This site plan does illustrate it a little bit better. So this is that 3-story that we saw from Grove Street. And then this is the 1-story. Back here you see the property line. So the 1-story does go and cover that full lot. Our proposed, we are maintaining the existing alleyway, 3'3" per survey. We are maintaining the current distance from the adjacent building. on the left side. And then from the rear, we are asking for a 15-foot offset, but the rest would be that 2-story addition. Sheet A002, we are showing a line of sight diagram from Mercer Street. This corner building, which we see over here, also the second story stops where our current second and third story stops. You can see a little bit of our building back here. And then this is a proposed perspective showing where we would see that 2-story addition. We wouldn't exactly see the rear of the addition, but we would see the side wall of the addition. D1 is showing the existing unit layouts on the second and third floor. So there's an existing kitchen, existing bathroom, and then a bedroom and a living space. On the proposed plans, we are continuing to show the existing conditions, but then also showing how we're transitioning into our addition at the rear. So there is a slight offset in floor level that we need to maintain because of the current structure at the rear, but we are adding 2 bedrooms on each floor and then a laundry area. We also see a elevator. This is due to the access of the current owner who will be residing in one of these units, as well as a family member that would be in that third floor. So the elevator does go to the second floor only, and then this third floor access is only for mechanical. That 15-foot setback on the rear will become a rooftop for access for the second unit. And we are proposing, there's an existing rail that is about 2 feet, and so we're extending on top of the parapet with a railing for safety reasons, but up to a 42-inch height from the grade of the deck. This is a section just illustrating how we would be connecting from existing to proposed and explaining that slight offset from the existing structure on the main floor. But each unit does connect, and again, we are maintaining the 2-family on this property. A3 is showing a lighting plan for interior layout, and A4 is showing the elevations. So elevation 4 is showing the existing elevation. Although this chimney does seem like it's against the building, it's actually at the very end of the property, just for clarification. So that does stay. And then this is, detail 2 is depicting the addition elevation, showing 4 double hung windows, and we are proposing vinyl, a white vinyl. We are proposing a clap siding, which I do have a color sample with me here today, as well as 2 exterior sconces that would be a gooseneck style. And the front elevation, which we aren't doing anything to the front elevation, but just to show the visibility of that addition would be from that alleyway. This fire escape is existing, so it should have shown here, but this is an existing fire escape which could be utilized for, it currently is utilized, but can be still utilized from those existing apartments. And the remaining is more construction details, structural details.
Can we go back to sheet A1?
Yes.
Just because I think that shows the visibility the best. This one.
Oh, A001, sorry. There you go.
Yeah, so, and maybe just one more time for clarification, if could show the board again what the surrounding properties are and where the visibility would be.
Sure. So from Mercer Street, maybe this one is better. There is that, this is ground floor commercial. It looks like a cafe or a restaurant of some sort, and then the upper floors are apartment. So we are standing a little bit past where this car is right here. If we were taking a picture from that line of sight. This building back here is a 4-story apartment building, so it does exceed the height of our building, which we can see a little bit better in this elevation, where on the side we see the extent of our 2-story, and then this apartment building exceeds that. And then on the other side of the property is another 3-story building. I believe it's the same composition of a commercial and then apartment units above.
Got it. All right. Yeah. So from a visibility perspective on Mercer, we're really talking about the side wall of the addition, and then at the front of the property, we could see a piece of the addition from the front.
Correct.
That concludes our direct testimony. I'm sure the commission has questions.
Maybe you want to see the sample.
Pass it around. Any? Oh no.
It's a hardy cement, but we would use that. We would use that as a color control sample for the clapboard.
Any questions from the commissioners?
Yes, I have a question about, do you have photos of sort of the rear yard space and the neighboring rear yards and how this addition might impact those?
So I did take a couple of aerial views from.
I'm sorry, were these?
No, they weren't. So this could be an.
So we should enter this as A1. It's 2 aerial photos of the subject property.
And could we just make sure they're emailed to staff tomorrow? Thanks.
Sure. So these are 2 aerial views. One is the corner of Mercer and Grove, and then one is from Mercer. So if we're looking at the left picture, Mercer and Grove, this is our property right here. And then this is the existing, if you want to call it deck, roof deck. And then our adjacent property does have a roof deck as well, whereas the property to the left has an accessory building and some greenery. And then this kind of represents what we already showed on the line of sight.
And we're not seeking any variances for the addition, correct?
No. Sorry, correction. The rear is a.
It's an existing non-conforming condition.
It is existing non-conforming, but
there's no new
the
variances for.
right. So the addition isn't as.
The addition's compliant with the zoning, but the existing structure that's there extends
Past it, correct.
past it.
I think I heard that you're proposing white vinyl windows on the rear facade. Can you speak to that and how that's approached? That's not something I feel
Right.
we hear very frequently here.
Yes. So the current building has white vinyl windows, and it's been that since the property owners acquired it. So we wanted to continue that same thing throughout the building. And we are aware that that isn't a standard, but this was something that the client wanted to request.
And the rear of the building is also
Not visible
not
from,
visible, boxed in
yeah,
by taller buildings on 2 sides, correct?
yeah. Yep. And that's just showing the existing.
So not my area of expertise, but I'm a little uncomfortable with that. So I would put the question to staff to address whether that's an appropriate material choice.
We could talk about it in staff comments, but I could kind of address it right off the bat now. Generally, the way the ordinance is written, windows that are visible on the front facade or any side facades that are visible from the public right of way are required to match the historic material, as well as like condition, operation, all of that. Windows on non-primary rear facades in particular only need to match in the same like plane and there's one other location and plane, I believe, are the two. Yeah, right. Okay, thank you. As the historic windows, so we do typically see sometimes vinyl windows on rear facades. It is something that generally is approved at a certificate of no effect level, so that you guys don't see those, but staff does see those. Again, this is for windows that are on rear facades. I will note the windows that are on the addition in the front that is visible from the alley. Those ones are proposed as wood double hung windows.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can you just clarify for me? I probably should know the answer to this, but the 15-foot setback, is that the required, like if it were a rear yard? Like if you didn't have the non-conforming first floor, what's the rear yard requirement in Jersey City?
So
In H, it's 30.
So in this, for this property, if they didn't have the non-conforming ground floor, they would need a 30-foot setback from the property? Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Can you better explain how much of the building that you're going to see from the front?
Of the addition?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let me see if this shows it. So there's an alleyway, and right where this building, the existing two-story stops, that's where you would see, I think it's 3 feet of the addition at the back, which I'm not sure the actual footage, but it's pretty far back there. Let me show the elevation. So this sliver, but I emphasize it's pretty far back there.
And just to clarify, that's not cantilevering, right? The existing rear of the building already extends to that. Okay.
Correct.
Thanks.
Any further questions? Okay, we'll move on to public comment. If there are any members of the public who would like to address the commission regarding this application, please approach the public comment mic. Staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and we'll move on to staff comments. So just kind of going into what the ordinance says, 345-71 L3 for additions, rear yard additions, for proposed additions which will be visible from a public thoroughfare or right of way. The commission will consider the effect of the addition on any significant architectural features on the building's rear facade and the scale and architectural character of the addition's facade in relation to the building's front facade. So I think we kind of went through this, but it is just that tiny sliver that's going to be visible from the front. They are using wood double hung windows to match what would have been the historic condition on that. And then on the rear facade, from the photos and from what I've seen from the street view, there does not appear to be any significant architectural features on the building's rear facade. So HPC staff finds the application to be mostly consistent with the Secretary of the Interior's standards for historic preservation and the historic design standards. As such, the proposed rear addition at this property appears to be consistent with the existing block paradigm and the development patterns of the area. In HPC staff's opinion, the project as proposed will not cause an adverse effect on the character and/or integrity of the historic resources or the Van Voorst Park Historic District, and HPC staff recommends approval of a certificate of appropriateness with the following conditions, and those are our standard conditions.
Motion for approval.
Are there any questions for staff?
Any questions?
Right. So, in the past, buildings that were non-conforming pre-existing, that were extending the non-conforming pre-existing use, we normally would force them to set the extension to the depth that's required, as opposed to beyond that. My point is that this building would then be required to have a 30-foot setback in the addition. levels.
And before you respond, I just want to say that I had a similar thought because, there's nothing specific I can point to except that looking at this application, it's a lot of building. And I had a similar thought that we have a number of existing non-conforming conditions in terms of front yard and rear yard setback and max building coverage, and to further extend those non-conforming conditions, it's just a lot of building.
And I would say the exception that I've found over the years to that would be corner conditions. This is the first time I've seen an interior lot within the block that was able to, or is asking to extend a non-conforming pre-existing condition on multiple levels above, where the idea was that this commission would say, no, you've got to stay to what the standard is.
I found this to be a relatively unique application in the sense that we don't see many 100% lot coverage applications where there's only one story on a 3-story building. I don't think that's a condition we have too often in Jersey City. I think this is the first application I reviewed that's similar to this. I don't know if Maggie can speak to applications in the past that have had rear additions. I don't think that the 15 versus 30 foot, because of the limited visibility on the side facade, is really that much of a change to the condition, the existing non-conforming condition. But I can see where the commission's coming from.
I'm not referring to the visibility on Mercer Street.
Yeah.
I'm referring to the donut inside. And it's something that hits home for me, as there's a building on my block that has this exact condition. And Maggie knows it. 87 Bright.
That'd be my example.
One of the most contentious.
I don't think we need a reminder.
We don't have time to go into that right now. However, that one was asked and did not interfere in the 30-foot setback above the existing pre-existing non-conforming condition.
I think the difference with this application, from staff's perspective at least, is the current condition of this block. If you looked at that aerial and the block plan, there are a number of, really the only property that has rear yard in this area is the immediate adjacent neighbor. Even
to the south, right next to him.
Yes. But there's not much of a donut left, I think was my point to that. Yeah. But again,
you're also overlaying the back of the building on Mercer. Are there windows on the back? I didn't see any photos of that rear. There's the building on Mercer, the third structure. Does that have any windows on it? Or do you have a photo of that?
There's supposed to be a block plan right over there. It's on the set that I printed from the portal, but for some reason didn't render on what we're pulling up. And I think that would be really helpful to demonstrate the existing conditions on site.
Could you pass
I'm
that
referring to
around?
the 4-story residential that's
to the rear.
Not the corner unit, not the corner building on Mercer and Grove, but the first building behind it on Mercer that's a 4-story residential. And I'd be curious as to say that the second and third floors of that building don't have windows.
They do, but we're not overlapping on them. This is what is there.
So you're saying that first 15 feet, there's no windows on that building, on the
This is
easterly 15 feet.
within the first 15 feet. There are windows, but where our addition starts and continues, there are no windows.
They wouldn't be obscuring any. There's no windows in the
On that
area where
side.
they're proposing to build. You can see they're on the lot line instead.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a question, related to all of this, and I think I've kind of already asked it, but I just want to make sure I understand. The 30-foot required rear yard, if this didn't have a non-conforming ground floor, because like they said it meets all of the zoning standards, would it not, if this didn't have the ground floor that went all the way to the property line, they would be requesting for a variance? Is that, so it's only a technicality of the way the zoning is written, that this isn't requiring a variance because the bottom floor of the building doesn't conform? Do I understand that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, I would, yes, technicality of the way, it's not even the way it's written, it's also the way that it's enforced. It's if it's a pre-existing non-conforming condition.
They can ask for more than what a different type of condition, like a different property that didn't already have, that had a full yard. They couldn't do that without a variance, but in this case, they can.
Well, they're not expanding upon the existing condition, right? It doesn't go all the way back plus more.
So the existing condition is allowing a loophole, kind of, right, at the upper 2 floors that they're proposing?
I'm hesitant to call it a loophole, but what you were saying is correct.
Okay. Because I do think that this is too much building, too deep into the lot for what remains of the rear yard volume on this block. And I say volume, I don't mean just the footprints of the buildings, how far they extend into their rear yards. I mean the volume of that.
And the bulk of the addition?
Just,
Yeah.
the addition, I think, is too bulky, too big, too deep into the lot.
I agree with Commissioner Gunther.
As do I.
I don't feel like they should, because they've gotten too much on the ground floor, that they should get too much on the second and third.
If the applicant were to pull the building back to conform with the rear yard setback on the addition,
I'd be
does
okay with
that
that.
minimize,
That'd be if that was a condition, I would say I would agree to that condition.
I would also agree to that condition.
I don't think we do that as a condition for what it's worth. I'm just trying to
Just
suss out where we are level of support wise. Stephen, do you want 5 minutes? We can take.
Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, I'm conferring with my client.
Yeah, why don't we take a 5-minute break then?
Thank you.
Okay. We're right around, not quite, but close to it. All right. If we want to take a 5-minute break and come back at 7:37.
We're going to take a 5-minute break and come back in 5 minutes.
7:37.
Seven.
Okay. Do we have all the commissioners present? Bridget, just let me know when you are ready to go. Okay. Want to call the meeting back to order?
All right. It is 7:38, and I am calling this meeting back to order.
Stephen Joseph for the applicant. Appreciate the time to confer with my client. The applicant would like to carry this application to the next available HPC hearing.
Sure. Okay. So we will carry to the next available HPC meeting.
That is November 17th.
Do we need a motion or just a?
Yes, we need a motion.
I'll make that motion to carry this application
And I'll second it.
to the next meeting.
Okay. All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay. So we are, again, jumping around again. We are back up to 9A. Corey, if you'd like to call that.
Sure. Case 9AH-25-0401. This is for the review and recommendation of proposed amendment to the Bright Street redevelopment plan. Recommendation to the Jersey City Planning Board and City Council.
Okay. So this is a city project. Michael is going to go down and plug in the monitor so that you all can see what we're talking about. And we have Matt from our office with us. And Matt's going to be walking you guys through the proposed changes to the Bright Street redevelopment plan as soon as Michael plugs in. We don't. Not on this board. Not around here, brother. Okay.
Yes, Matthew De Silva, Senior Planner, Division of City Planning, MATTHEW, DA space SILVA. So before you is a proposed amendment to the Bright Street redevelopment plan, and for those not quite familiar, the Bright Street redevelopment plan consists of more or less a segment of Bright Street on the edge of the Van Voorst Park Historic District. Michael's scrolling down to the
Map.
So that's the extent of the district, and then there are several sub-districts within the district. Yes. And so this amendment concerns Zone 3, which is the residential infill zone. The purpose of the residential infill district is to provide for appropriate new infill construction and to redevelop the area's townhouses, four-family dwellings, multifamily residential, consistent with the historic pattern of construction on this block and approximate historic resources within the district. Generally, there's lots of regulations around the residential infill district about fitting into its context and especially fitting into its historic context. No worries, Bridget. So there's the bulk regulations and the use regulations are really around just that residential infill that fits into the historic context here within the Van Voorst Park Historic District. As you see, the borders of the historic district bisect the plan. The north side of Bright Street is within the historic district, and the south side, Zone 1, which is where most of the larger scale redevelopment in the plan is called for, is outside of the district. So this amendment was petitioned by the owners of 16 Bright Street, which was a new construction three-family townhome, I believe. That was approved by this board and concurrently by the planning board and then built several years ago. And there is where historically when you'd have the type of sort of brownstone townhouse development over here, you would have a basement apartment due to modern flood regulations can't be a habitable residential space. And so the plan previously accommodated for this reality of development that mirrors the built form of our historic built forms while adhering to modern flood regulations and modern considerations around habitability and flood risk by allowing for accessory office use in these types of spaces. Sometimes residential amenity spaces, but the idea of a small office, a notary public, small tax office, small law firm, etc. And the rules for accessory uses in this primarily residential district is A, it has to be just that accessory. It can't be the primary use. 2, it has to be 2,000 square feet or smaller. This amendment, as a request, the applicant, the petitioner here, in this case, the owners of 16 Bright Street, requested that they be allowed to lease out this space as a retail store, small corner store type space. And so to accommodate that, we are amending the plan to add as allowed accessory uses beyond the current fences, walls, and stoops, home occupations, decks, patios, swimming pools, off-street parking, professional office and medical office, retail sales, so your typical small store, so selling anything, retail services, think barbershop, salon, any sort of customer-facing business where what's being provided isn't stuff, but a service. And then cafes, all less than 2,000 square feet. And I want to emphasize that this allows cafes and not restaurants. And the difference in our code between a cafe and a restaurant is that cafes do not have a dedicated kitchen. And so we're not talking about, the intensity of a full-on restaurant being allowed here, but just a small cafe, perhaps similar to the Treehouse Cafe that recently opened across the street in this general location. Serving coffee, light snacks. And the key limiter here is, as you see, all these uses would have to be 2,000 square feet or less. So we're not talking intensive, we're not talking large traffic generators, we're talking complementary neighborhood business. And with that, I leave it to Maggie and Michael for the historic district context.
Okay. Michael, do you have any comments on the historic district context, or just?
No, this is a very straightforward amendment. These are all uses that we see throughout the historic district in the areas that, retail and such are permitted. We have cafes and retail use. So this is something that's really kind of just keeping with what is standard throughout the historic district.
Do the commission have any questions for staff?
I think we had an application for this for 16 Bright 3 years ago for an awning, and I'm just looking for perhaps a little bit more context. So is the idea that it was approved for these limited uses and it's not being used successfully, so they're looking to expand the scope? And if that is the case, was there any rationale behind the original list? Why were these forms of business not originally contemplated by the redevelopment plan?
Certainly. So I think, the accessory uses were a later addition in the plan, I think as modern flood regulations and as a reaction to the idea that you couldn't do true ground floor residential in this location anymore due to flood considerations, as state flood regulations updated, as our flood maps updated, et cetera. I think the addition of uses was piecemeal initially. So I think the initial idea is, this could be an amenity space, a home gym, whatever. That's a tall consideration. I know this particular building is a condominium, for example. And then the idea with, office, you could have some sort of leasable space and make use of these ground floor spaces in these types of infill buildings in this location. And I just think the reaction has been that the market for small scale office is weak, especially that 2,000 square foot limit puts a pretty strong cap on the types of potential clientele. And small format retail, as Michael mentioned, is a very sort of traditional aspect of the Van Voorst Park Historic District. And it's less of there was active contemplation against retail previously and more of it wasn't petitioned and planning didn't consider it until this petitioner came forward.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm good with it. Thanks.
No problem.
Any further questions?
I was just going to say, as a comment, I live only a few blocks from there, and I think that most neighbors would say, as long as it's not disruptive at night, they would be probably okay and like to see a little bit of an activation of the neighborhood. So I think that those uses still fit that bill.
Yeah, and as a reminder, any proposed fit out that has an exterior component would have to come before this board. So there would be opportunity for the HPC to have input when a proposed use comes forward, a potential tenant.
As far as the aesthetic concerns, right? Not the use.
No, yeah, we don't, yeah. However, I just will say for the use, just Tony, on your point of the neighborhood would prefer for it not to be disruptive, that cafe category prohibits rear yard seating. So that, I know that has come up as a concern in the past, and that's, the specific cafe use does not permit that. So it would be less disruptive than a category 1 or 2 restaurant, which is not permitted.
Good.
Okay, any other questions? If not, staff recommends a motion to.
Public comment?
Oh, yes, public comment. How could I forget? Are there any members of the public who would like to speak regarding this application? Okay, staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And on that note, staff recommends a motion to recommend approval to the planning board.
I move to recommend approval to the planning board.
Second.
Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Edgecombe,
Aye.
Commissioner Kay,
Aye.
Commissioner Callback,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandcamp,
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther,
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon.
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Gucciardo is absent, Commissioner Sakong is absent, Commissioner Blazak is absent, Chairman Cronin is absent, which just leaves Acting Chair Garriga.
Aye.
There are 7 votes in favor, none against, with no abstentions. The recommendation to the planning board is approved. Thanks, Matt.
Welcome. Thank you, board.
Okay, so Corey, if you'd like to call the next case, which is 9C.
Yep, 9C, calling H-24-0455, applicant Peter Johnston, architect PC, applicant on behalf of Stam Stoya, owner. Address is 310 Pavonia Avenue, Zone H, Hamilton Park Historic District, for the certificate of appropriateness for the proposed construction of a 2-story rear addition and roof deck that is not visible from the public right-of-way at an altered, contributing Italianate row house built circa 1875 in the Hamilton Park Historic District.
Perfect, thanks. We'll give the applicant a moment to set up. There we go.
Okay, would you raise your right hand, please, swear? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And state and spell your full name, please.
Peter Johnston, Peter Johnston.
Mr. Johnson, if you would mind providing the commission with the benefits of your qualifications.
Sure. I have a Bachelor of Science in Design and Architecture from Arizona State University. I have a Master's in Architecture from UCLA. I have over 30 years' experience. A lot of this is renovating townhomes and historic structures such as this, mainly in Hoboken. I have been before many boards, not this board, recently, including zoning and historic.
And you are currently licensed to practice architecture in the state of New Jersey?
State of New Jersey, yes.
Great. HPC staff recommends that the chair accept Mr. Johnston's qualifications as an expert in the field of architecture.
I accept.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Okay, what happened here? Okay. So 310 Pavonia Avenue presently consists of a duplex unit and 2 additional units above. The scope of work will be for the renovation of the duplex unit on the interior and a rear yard addition, which will be 2 stories. As mentioned in the report, there will be no interior work in the two apartment units, with the exception of some sprinkler work. So what we have here first is the front facade. Again, there will be no work on this. It's in very good shape, and as mentioned, we would not be touching that. Okay. Here is the rear yard as it presently stands. As you can see, there's a one-story addition that's in terrible shape. It's yellow, it's rusted looking. And then you can see the rear facade of the existing building, which has a fire escape on it. I'd also like to take note, if you can see to the right, the neighbor's addition, which was improved. We plan to come out as far as the neighbor's addition, so we would be in compliance with the zoning code on all of these particular items. Other things that we're going to do is remove the fire escape because with and propose sprinkling the building itself. Here's another close-up shot to see how things presently are. Again, we're matching the neighbors. They have a deck up above. We will be doing a similar construction. Okay. As far as, let's make that a little bigger here. As far as variances, we are in conformance, so we do not need any variances at all. We came out within the setbacks of the zoning code, and as mentioned, we will be matching the neighbors. I want to bring you over to the site plan, and you can see, the proposal. We're lining up with the neighbor's addition, also proposing a spiral stair, which is similar to what they have done. As far as the rear yard, we're going to remove the concrete that's there, that's falling apart, and put bluestone pavers in the rear yard, and leave much of the indigenous landscaping there. And again, we'll be at the 80% and will not go over that, so we are in conformance with the zoning code. Right here, we could look at some of the demo and removal plans. We will be renovating the first two floors, removing the existing kitchen, removing that addition, and then on the second floor, removing the fire escape. As mentioned, no interior work on the third and fourth floor, with the exception of bringing sprinklers in. Here are the floor plans as they exist today. Okay, so now we get to our proposal. We are proposing a rear yard addition, which is 1710 and a half. We note here that we're aligning with the neighbors, and we have a spiral stair. We also will come back and do a series of bathrooms and closets on this particular floor. On the upper floor, we will have a deck with the spiral stair, and that's where we will have the proposed kitchen. And again, no work on the upper two floors. Here are the existing drawings of the rear and front facade. Front facade, we saw in the photographs, no work. In the rear yard, we will be taking down this fire escape and taking down the addition. We will be leaving the windows and the brick that's up above. Okay. As mentioned in the report, you cannot see the proposed addition from the street as indicated by these sightline drawings. I don't know if I skipped something. What the hell happened? I don't know why we're skipping over the rear. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so the rear yard, what we're proposing on the rear yard addition are glass doors, double hung windows to come back in. We will build the addition out of stucco, and I'll go through the colors on that. We're going to leave the existing brick. It has some character, and leave the windows and, of course, the cornice there. We will have some skylights on the roof of the second floor addition. As far as coloring goes and nature of materials, the actual fencing that we have up here, or railing, will be black. The windows will be black, and the actual addition itself in stucco will be in Benjamin Moore. Let's go next. Fresh brew, which is a reddish brown, which we think goes with the neighbor's addition. We will also be using on the deck TimberTech Terrain Collection, which is a gray. And as mentioned, for the windows, we will be using black and black on the railing. We will have two lights, which are downward and have fluted glass, and they will be bronze metal. We're using Pella windows, the Pella Reserve Traditional, which has a nice profile to it, and then is clad, and same thing with the door. Here we have some of the details of the railing, which is simple and in black. In conclusion, we hope that you approve our proposal here. It is in conformance with the zoning code, cannot be seen from the street, and matches up with the neighbor's addition. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from any commissioners?
Just get some water.
My only question is, Mr. Johnston, do you have any material sample boards or paint samples or anything?
Well,
for
the
us?
only, good question there. The only one we have, would need a sample on would be the decking. The rest is metal as far as the railings and the spiral stair, and we have details on that, and that's going to be black. The lamp itself will be bronze, and then any of the cap metal will be black. The Benjamin Moore Fresh Brew, which will be the color of the stucco, we will most certainly do a mock-up of that to see how that dries and looks.
So I would just ask that you please provide samples to staff.
We most certainly will.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
The lighting is just at the deck level, or the
No,
rear door, the
we have the
lower rear door?
lighting at each door, so one at the lower level and the upper level.
Okay, hearing no more questions, and if that concludes your testimony, we can move on to public comment. If there are any members of the public wishing to speak regarding this application, please approach the public comment mic. Staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And we can move on to staff comments. Again, This is a very straightforward application. The neighboring property, 310A Pavonia, was granted a COA for the rear addition in 2018. This matches it as far as bulk and stair and all of that. It appears to be consistent with the existing block paradigm and the development patterns of the area. It is not visible from across the street in the public right-of-way. So in HPC staff's opinion, the project as proposed will not cause an adverse effect on the character and or integrity of the historic resource or the Hamilton Park Historic District. And HPC staff recommends approval of the certificate of appropriateness with the following conditions. And those conditions are our standard conditions.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Sorry, I missed that. Who was the second?
Gordon.
We will take a roll call vote. Commissioner Gunther?
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon?
Aye.
Commissioner Edgecombe?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Callback?
Aye.
Commissioner Sankamp?
Aye.
Commissioner Gucciardo is absent. Commissioner Sakong is absent. Commissioner Blazak is absent. Chairman Cronin is absent. So that just leaves Acting Chair Griega.
Aye.
Okay, there are 7 votes in favor, none against, with no abstentions. The COA with conditions is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next case up.
Is that a C?
Uh,
Oh, sorry,
D.
D, right? All right. So we're calling case D H25-0147. Applicant Stephen Joseph, Esquire. Applicant on behalf of 82 Sussex LLC owner. The address is 77 Grand Street, also known as 82 Sussex. That is Zone H, Paulus Hook Historic District, for certificate of appropriateness for the proposed construction of a new 4-story, 2-unit residential building and associated site work in the Paulus Hook Historic District.
Wonderful. Thank you. Stephen Joseph Castano Quigley Trami for the applicant. So just briefly on the 2 addresses, this was formerly a large property called 77 Grand Street. The prior owner subdivided off the piece of land that fronted on Sussex. The new address is 82 Sussex, and that's a vacant piece of land. What we're proposing tonight, I think, is a fairly straightforward application, conforming project, so no referral to the Planning Board or Zoning Board, and it's a new construction. So we're getting set up right now. Why don't we get the architect sworn in while we're waiting for the computer to boot up? Should come over here on the mic.
Sure.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
State and spell your full name.
Joseph Tarella, Tarella.
If you could just give the commission the benefit of some of your experience and education.
Sure. I have both a bachelor and a master's degree from Columbia University in architecture, and I've had a New Jersey license for maybe 40-something years, and have been working actively as an architect for almost 50 years.
And your license is in good standing?
It is.
Okay. The HPC staff recommends the chair accept Mr. Tarella's qualifications as an expert in the field of architecture.
I accept.
Oh, good.
Great. All right. Why don't you walk us through the plans?
Sure. Thank you. We're almost ready?
It's still generating.
It's thinking. Okay, well, as Stephen said, this is I can take a moment of levity. It's ironic that his name is Stephen Joseph and my name is actually Joseph Stephen. So we found that to be kismet almost when we started working together. And see? Anyway, it's an infill townhouse on Sussex Street, which is pretty historic and in the old city. And our proposal is to put back a townhouse that is very similar to what was once there. And we've taken into account the whole street, trying to match cornices and window lines and restoring the stoop and the surround entry underneath to the basement level, and at least on the street side, really trying to fit in with all the houses that are actually there. And we brought some materials to show the same sort of historic brick and some brownstone base and bluestone paving and the cornice and all the kinds of details you would come to expect on a historic house. Thank God I'm not doing this.
So while we're doing that, why don't we pass around?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Backwards, but.
You want to do that?
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
be your Vanna White.
Oh, thank
That's
you
fine.
very much. Okay. So this is a brick sample. It is a historic style brick. It's sand struck as opposed to water struck, so it's got some texture and it's got a little, not the crisp edge, but rather the sort of rounded edge. This is brownstone, sample of the brownstone, even though no real brownstone really exists much anymore. And this last grout is the proposed mortar color, and this is a piece of black, which is going to be the windows and the paint for the cornice and the door. Now, oh, here we go. Okay. So you should stay. So on the left, as Stephen said, this is the slot on the. You can see the site, which was larger, sort of P-shaped or something, which has now been broken in half, and we are the narrower top piece. And this is a photo that we were able to find of the historic what was there before, and the picture in the middle is what is there now. But we do not need any variances for this. We are under the 5,000 square foot thing, so I don't believe we need any zoning particular approval. It's been through the staff, so which is, I guess, why we're here. And it's a pretty straightforward townhouse infill. Except it's going to just be really nice, and instead of what's there now. You can see the photo and then the drawings of the whole street and the infill piece being suggested. It's only about 22 feet wide, so it's not a big house. And that's all of these pictures. That's a line of sight drawing, which shows that nothing we're proposing, even on the roof, can be seen from the street. This is the rear yard, the plan showing the front with the paving and the steps to go down under the stoop to get to the studio apartment, and the rear paving, the rear yard, which is somewhat stepped with a stair from the first floor and sort of stepped going back with some planting and some paving to give it some variety. There will be IPA fencing around the whole thing and trees along the back. Okay. These are the plans which show there is a small studio apartment in the front, in the basement being proposed, which, depending on who buys the house, could be a spot for a nanny, perhaps, as opposed to a separate renter, but it could be separate. And then sort of a media room or playroom in the back, and there is an elevator in this thing, right? Yes, the elevator. And then public floor on the main floor, which has access to the back, and then bedrooms, front and back, on the upper two floors, and a roof deck. Here's the facade. Again, showing traditional window shapes and styles. Pretty much, it was a little tough between either side, but pretty closely aligned with both sides, although they're not exactly aligned. Here's the cornices over there in the middle, and the stoop below it. And just getting in underneath enough to get clearance to go to the basement level. And this is the rear facade, which is not historic. It's basically a metal and glass facade to open up the apartments to as much natural light as possible from the back. The various neighbors have different things in their backyards. And we felt that this was a proper reflection of what we're doing inside, which is kind of a sort of a more mid-century Italian modernist piece. And that we thought the back facade would be a nice expression of that. Neutral, open. This is a section of the building. There is a cellar, which we're going to have things like our sprinkler gear and boiler and things like that in, but it's not, otherwise it's not an occupied space. And you can see the terraced yard in the back. These are our windows. The top row is the historic windows. These would be wood and double hungs. And this is the back, which would be metal and glass, which would have operable doors and casement type windows. Some fixed. These are the details of the windows and doors and stuff. Partition types. But the intention is to build a traditional looking, high quality, very nice piece of infill townhouse that would help fill in the missing tooth in the block.
I know we went through that pretty quickly. It's a fairly simple project, but of course, happy to discuss any of the details of this with the commission.
Is there a rendering of the how it would look like in the front with the adjacent buildings?
I think so. Here you go.
And
This was not submitted, right? This was not part of our package, so we'll enter this as A1, and we will send this to staff tomorrow.
thank you.
Thank you.
Title rendering? Call it a rendering, yeah.
Rendering.
Front facade rendering.
Front facade rendering, I don't see a date on it.
That's fine.
Prepared by the architect of record, or ordered by the architect of record.
But are these colors accurate? Because I saw the cast stone sample was more of a light brown, and this looks like very dark charcoal gray.
I don't like renderings for this very reason. I think the colors and materials never come out.
Okay,
right
so
away.
that
I
we
think
should
the
rely
step-
on the samples.
Yes, and
Okay.
yes, for sure. And I think the steps are more, give you a better idea of the coloration. Probably the license of the renderer wanting the darker.
Okay, and I have the same question for the window color. Are they proposed to be black like this, or a neutral color like the facade, like more of a brown?
No, they were proposed to be black.
Okay.
Mr. Torella, I just wonder if you could speak generally on where you took inspiration for the front facade. Was it inspired by specific elements of other historic properties in the neighborhood, or was it more a general representation of this style? Where did this come from?
No, we've done a lot of historic work, but we took a hard look at this block and the surrounding blocks in the old city, and we tried hard to take into account both the materials and the positions of the windows, the spacing of the windows, the floor-to-floor heights, which impact where the windows can go, how high the front door should be, just to get enough to get underneath to get into the basement. The cornice, if we went back to the old drawing, you see the original building's cornice was actually a little bumped up above the current ones. These guys managed to survive, so they get to set the height. But we tried very hard to be a good infill piece in what is a very nice looking block. And although this one will be new, a number of other houses on the block are very well taken care of. And we hope to join that group.
Can you show us the block plan again? Because it seems like there's going to be some visibility of the upper floors potentially over the empty lots on Washington Street. Have you studied that at all to see if any of that rear facade will be visible?
No, I don't think it is visible. But there's that lot, that parking lot, and then there's a high fence along the back.
No,
of that
from
lot.
over the park, right? I think you might be getting, there's a chance there's going to be views of the rear facade over the park, Paulus Hook Park there. I think we should know whether or not that's going to be visible, especially as we're considering a very glassy rear facade.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're going across one, two, three, four separate lots at that point with a fence and some trees. We didn't take a sight line from there, but I think the architect testified he doesn't believe it's going to be visible. And with regards to the glass, it is a design style I believe this commission has seen in the past and has been approved in the past. I'll call it the business in front, party in back style.
Right. But I think, I am not comfortable making any kind of decision about this project without having it demonstrated whether or not it will be visible, and then if it is, what we will be seeing based on the proposed design. And from which vantage points, like throughout the neighborhood, because we do have this open, park.
Understood.
And it's a four-corner park, so you're seeing it from within, from, what I'm saying is that I think this will be visible. If you can show me that it isn't, then that's maybe fine.
Sure, we'll do that. But I'm pretty sure we'll be able to demonstrate that it's really not.
I think that's a good catch by Commissioner Gunther. I think that's a valid observation. I also think we have, for the most part, adhered to the business in the front, party in the back doctrine Mr. Joseph described. So, to my mind, it's not going to really change the outcome for me.
To make a comment on the previous point, I went down to the park because I thought it was 77 grand and not 82 Sussex, which is where that park is. And for what it's worth, you really can't see the other side from that park.
Any further questions, comments from commissioners?
You didn't really talk about the ironwork at the front.
Okay.
Do you have some details of that?
We do. It's fairly straight bar railing at the cap and a bottom rail. Not wanting to imagine what railings might have been like instead, but adhering to the idea of a front fence and then the railings and the newel post going up the steps. We think are pretty neutral, but in the spirit of this kind of townhouse.
Thanks.
Okay.
The detail on the door, the main entrance, is there glass on the either side of the door, or is that just
No.
wood detail? Okay.
Just like a raised panel, as mimicking a kind of pilaster type position of doors that had these types of things.
So if there are no more questions from the commissioners, just trying to get a gauge for, you know.
Anyone have any other questions?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Does that conclude the applicant's testimony?
That concludes our direct testimony. Yes.
Okay. We'll move on to public comment. If there are any members of the public present wishing to speak regarding this application, please approach the public comment mic. Staff sees no members of the public present and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, we can move on to staff comments. So the HPC previously approved the subdivision of this lot under Certificate of Appropriateness H-24-0079. That was in May of last year. And this created a conforming lot. It's 22.08 feet by 100 feet lot, fronting Sussex Street between Washington and Green. And so we don't actually have a tax card for a 1938 tax card for 82 Sussex Street. However, we can see it in the adjacent property, 80 Sussex Street. And based on historic aerials, it looks like the building was demolished around 1970 and has remained a vacant lot since, used as private parking. Looking at the proposed project, you know, it's not very often that this commission gets a new construction project that is completely conforming to the zoning standards. I think Stephen can testify to this. I asked multiple times to make sure that I wasn't missing something, because I think it's so infrequent that we do see this. So it's an as-of-right 4-story, 40-foot tall, 2-unit townhouse with the 30-foot rear yard setback. That guide for new construction in the historic district is that new construction need not replicate historic older buildings or structures, but may reflect contemporary design standards so long as the design and construction is compatible with surrounding historic structures. Building height, width, mass, and proportion affect the degree of compatibility between the new and the old. I think that this, from my professional opinion, I think that this building does a really nice job of balancing the new and the old. I think we see a lot of applicants really struggle with the idea of how they make something not a carbon copy of something historic, but kind of use those little nuances to influence the fact that this is new construction, but maintaining that compatibility, particularly on such an infill lot. I think the straight bar, modern fence, the modern style windows with the black, all really attest to kind of a really well done job by the applicant. The fiberglass cornice kind of replicates the old, but not quite exactly. So in staff's perspective, this really takes cues from the proximate buildings of historic significance, and the bulk is compatible with the adjacent residential buildings on the block and found throughout the historic districts. And so as such, HPC staff believes the project as proposed will not cause an adverse effect on the character and or integrity of the surrounding historic district, the Paulus Hook Historic District, or the historic resources. HPC staff recommends approval of a certificate of appropriateness with the following conditions. Most of them are standard conditions. We do have two or three that are not always seen. The first one is that the applicant shall seek approval of a franchise ordinance for the construction of the front yard railing and areaway as it extends beyond the property line. If any component of that approval alters the proposal, the applicant shall submit a deviation request in writing to HPC staff and provide plans for review showing the existing, approved, and revised conditions. If necessary, the applicant will reappear in front of HPC to seek approval of changes. And then all landscaping, including tree pits, shall conform to the Jersey City forestry standards. And then no portion of the roof decks or accessories shall be visible from the public right-of-way. If any portion of the roof decks and or accessories are visible, this approval shall be considered null and void and subject to zoning violations. And then the rest of them are just our standard conditions. So again, staff's recommendation is a approval of the certificate of appropriateness with those conditions as read into the record and in the staff report.
I just want to ask, how are we voting on something that we don't understand whether or not it's visible from the public right-of-way at the rear facade? It hasn't been demonstrated. I don't believe the applicant has done their due diligence.
So that was the next question.
Okay.
Was we have the staff comments, or Michael gave them, was now we have your outstanding request. I was going to gauge the rest of the commissioners on how we felt about that and how we wanted to proceed. So if anyone wants to opine.
I think need to see the Sanborn again, just to see exactly what portion could possibly be exposed. So the proposed is going to be the same height as Lot 17's extension, the same depth as Lot 17's extension, except Lot 17's extension is only 2 stories. Is that right?
I think we were looking more at Lot 16 and not at Lot 17, so I can't speak to that at this moment.
I'm just looking at it on Street View.
Okay. Good.
And on Street View, you have a 2-story addition on the back of the first building adjacent to the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
Maggie, do they have the ability to pull up Street View from that side? Like if we all wanted to take a look at it at the big screen?
If the applicant
Is that-
wanted to pull up pull up a viewpoint of something that they could accurately date, that was not necessarily interactive and mark it as evidence, right? Like if we took like a screenshot of that view, but we had an appropriate date on it. The problem with all of the street views and everything like that is that we don't know what date it was taken, right? So I can't accurately say if that is the current condition of the property. I understand where you're going with that, but it's hard for us to say that that is the current condition of the property without knowing that it is.
Sure.
Yeah, because as we've seen, these things, especially when foliage is concerned, the season is really critical. In winter, there might be a lot more visibility than in the summer when there's leaves on the trees. But
And for what it's worth, that does lend importance to what Janelle is asking for in the actual documented sightline, because the trees don't count towards visibility, right? Anything ephemeral does not. When we look at stuff from the public right of way, anything that is ephemeral, right? So not physically in the ground is not, but it doesn't count towards visibility. So you can have 100 trees, but if you could see it and the trees are the only thing in the way, it's still visible.
So let me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
So if you could see some portion of the rear facade from the park that's hundreds of feet away, why would that affect the historic aspect of the approval?
I think that's a question for the commissioners, but I think that there is a, believe I'm about to say this, the business in the front, party in the back model is, is generally acceptable when it's not visible from the public right of way, and is generally given more scrutiny when it is visible. So I think the commission first needs to establish visibility of that rear facade before they would be willing to opine on the proposed design. Is that would you guys say that's an accurate representation? Yes. Sure.
So
we're still dealing with standards for new construction, though. It's not a historic building.
Correct.
Yeah, so that was, I mean, my position was that I believe since it is new construction, it's not the primary facade. Even if there were, a significant amount of visibility, which I don't believe there is likely to be, I would still not have a problem with the application as presented. So for me, the sightline is not material. I think I've made that pretty clear.
I think the facade that's facing the parking lot on that westerly facade, that might need to have some sort of treatment, because I think part of it is it going to be exposed? Is that going to be a brick facade as well?
No, the side that faces the parking lot is at the same depth as the addition of whatever the next lot.
The immediately adjacent.
See the side of our building.
And the height of that building is the same height? And so that's 175, you see you're from 150 to 175 feet from the public right of way.
Yeah.
Can I maybe just propose something atypical? How about we can provide a sightline and photographs to staff after this evening, right? And if it is visible at staff's discretion, we could treat it as an amendment, and we can come back. I think that's.
We can make that a condition of approval.
It can be a condition of approval, and then
it's not visible from the public right of way across the park or across the parking lot.
Correct, and then it'll be treated as an amendment if it is. And
Well, if
and
it's
we
not visible at all, it's not visible at all. And if it is visible, then you can decide whatever happens.
I personally do not have enough information based on what is presented tonight about the rear facade, the side facade, or the visibility to vote in any way, shape, or form on this item.
Does staff recall any other prior applications that the commission has approved with similar kind of visibility of new construction? Because for me, what comes to mind, and I may be misremembering, was the funeral home. I believe it was a similar wall of glass in the back that had some oblique visibility from the side, and I believe we did approve that.
We did. That was not a question, though, on if it was visible. It was that it was visible at that moment, but the commission had previously approved another new construction project for the lot in which the visibility was, you could see it through. So that was actually a similar conversation to that. A closer comparison would be 88 and 90 Bright Street when we were talking about that addition and whether or not it'd be visible based on new construction. I can't recall an application where the question of if it is visible at all has come up.
Well, so in the one I referred to, we knew there was visibility and we approved it anyway. Of course, the complicating factor was there. The visibility was suspected to be temporary.
Correct. So we're at the point, right, where collectively the commission has to decide if they would like to vote on this item, noting Commissioner Gunther's concerns with the project, or the commission would like to carry the project and have the applicant reappear when the visibility of the rear facade, I will go ahead and say from any angle, right? We're not going to limit ourselves to the park. Rear facade visibility from any angle is clarified. I can't make that decision for you. You guys, we can poll.
Commissioner Gunther could also make the motion to carry the application to the next meeting so that evidence can be supplied, and then the rest of the commission can discuss and vote on that as you see fit.
I will make that motion to carry this item to clarify the visibility of the rear facade so that we can consider the design of the rear facade.
I'll second that.
Okay.
And just clarify what meeting we're carrying this to.
The next meeting or the next available meeting that the applicant chooses.
Perfect.
Next meeting is November 17th.
Okay. All right, so then we'll do a roll call vote on that motion. Commissioner Edgecombe?
Aye.
Commissioner Kay?
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon?
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther?
Aye.
Commissioner Sandkamp?
Aye.
Commissioner Callback? Aye. Commissioner Cucciardo is absent. Commissioner Sakong is absent. Commissioner Blazek is absent. Chairman Cronin is absent. Acting Chair Griga.
Aye.
Okay, so we are going to carry this item to the regular meeting of November 17th, and the applicant will resubmit to clarify that visibility, and we'll see you then.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, continuing on the agenda. As we noted earlier, case 9E, 515 Jersey Ave has been carried to the regular HPC meeting of November 17th. Tabled cases, staff has no update on 172 Belmont, correct? Okay. For demolition review, as previously noted at the beginning of the meeting, cases 11A, 32 Sherman Place, has requested to carry to November 17th. Case 11B, 37 Van Ripen Ave, has requested to carry to November 17th. So that leaves us with 11C. Corey, if you'd like to call that case.
Yep. 11C for demolition review, 128 Wegman Parkway. That's application number B-25-1329.
Just to clarify before staff, are there any members of are there any applicants for this application present? No one confirmed with staff that they were coming, but I do like to ask.
Sure.
Okay. Seeing none.
Motion to table that?
No. No. This is a demo, so the applicant has the option to appear or not.
Good.
But Michael will walk
I'm
the commission
pulling
through
everything up. Just one moment.
the demo.
Okay, just to provide some background, this is on Wegman Parkway. This is a photo of the front facade. And this is the photo of the adjacent properties that the applicant submitted. And then here is the 1938 tax card photo. Again, as a recommendation to the commission, that we have all discussions regarding these applications on the record. But to give a little bit of background, this was built in circa 1916. It's Queen Anne style, and this was mentioned in the Jersey City Master Plan, historic preservation element of the master plan.
Michael, could you please put the two photos side by side?
I surely can.
Well, barring what I can't see behind the foliage in the photo, you can definitely see that the upper floor is very much intact and almost in its original condition.
This one provides maybe a tiny bit more view, but yes, it is largely obscured on that first floor area. Any further comments from any commissioners?
Is there any photo? Are there any photos of the back?
We do not. The requirement for the applicants is just a photo of the front facade. I'm not sure if that accessory dwelling or any of the rear facade We do not have any photos of that. Yeah.
I mean, it's a very distinctive, charming building, clearly largely intact. I wouldn't want to see it demolished.
Yeah, I agree. It's not like it's hanging on by just a wall.
Does anybody have any questions for staff or anything? We could go into public comment, and then I could add some more comments onto this as well.
Why are we hearing this one?
Okay, hearing no questions or anything. If there are any members of the public wishing to speak regarding this application, please approach the public comment mic. Okay, staff sees no members of the public present and makes a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Yeah, so this one, from staff's perspective, really meets, again, criteria C, the architectural. It embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, and method of construction, most especially if no other or very few buildings or structures with the same association have survived. And this one really has all 7 factors for integrity. The location, this block is very intact, as well as for the setting, design. I believe that first floor porch has been opened up a little bit, I believe. Or was sorry, it was originally open and then it was later enclosed. And there have been very minimal changes to the exterior. The front entry door and the storm doors are non-original, but that is very common. Despite that, you have the original brick corbelling on the cornice. You have those brick detailing. A lot of the materials and workmanship, the feeling and association as a Queen Anne style really are maintained. Does the commission have any other questions for staff? Okay, staff's recommendation is a motion to prepare a resolution recommending denial of the demolition application to the zoning officer.
I'll make that motion for denial. For recommending to the zoning officer.
Correct.
If you could just say what reasons you're making that.
I mean, it looks all intact. I don't recall hearing a specific reason why this is in front of us, but to some of our fellow commissioners' points, I mean, it's intact. A few months ago, we saw a building, a structure that was just 4 walls and it was still falling apart. And I think this is nowhere near that. So, yeah.
And the building is mentioned in the historic resource inventory of the Jersey City Master Plan.
There we go. That too. That's important.
Okay. Is there a second
I'll
for that
second.
motion? Tony. Okay. We'll move to a roll call vote. Commissioner Kay.
Aye.
Commissioner Callback.
Aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Sankamp.
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther.
Aye.
Commissioner Gordon.
Aye.
Commissioner Edgecombe.
Aye.
Commissioner Gucciardo is absent. Commissioner Sakong is absent. Commissioner Blazak is absent. Chair Cronin is absent, leaving Acting Chair Griga.
Aye.
Okay, there's 7 votes in favor of recommending denial, none against, with no abstentions. The motion passes. Great. Okay. Continuing on the agenda, tabled demolition review cases, 384 Communipaw. This applicant has been notified as of today that if they do not provide a substantial update on this application, meaning some kind of literal submission to staff, which is what we have been waiting for, right? They had said that they were planning on coming to a meeting and testifying and providing professionals. If we need some kind of update from the applicant. They've been notified in writing as of today that if they do not provide that prior to the completion deadline for the next HPC meeting, we will be recommending that the application be dismissed without prejudice, which just means that if they want to do something else, they just have to reapply. It doesn't mean that we won't hear the application or anything like that. We have no resolutions to introduce or discuss. We have no resolutions to memorialize. We do not need an executive session, which just leaves us with adjournment. If anyone would like to make a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Okay. It is 8:49 p.m. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.